Let me bring in Congresswoman Katherine Clark here, Democrat. And I appreciate you coming on. Nice to see you. Let me ask this, because the next sort of phase of, and we're obviously been in rolling coverage, but the next phase of the conversation I wanted to have, beginning with you, was what does this look like now going forward? What should the American public be prepared for over the next 90 days? And I say this because it does seem that everybody on your side of the aisle believes you need to sort of have a beginning and end here, that this can't sort of go on forever.
That's right, Chuck. And I can tell you that we are acting with the urgency that the whistleblower identified. Let's go back to the beginning of this story. We had a whistleblower who issued a complaint that was found to be urgent and credible. We now have some members of Congress are able to review that complaint, and we will follow up. But what we know from this president himself is that he put his political gain over our national security. And that is an abuse of power. That is corruption. And that is what we just cannot tolerate. So we are going to get the facts out to the American people as expeditiously as we can and make sure that they understand everything we've seen today backs up what Donald Trump said that he did at the beginning of this week. And we need to make sure that we follow up and that we stand up for the integrity of our elections and that we stand up for the fundamentals of our democracy.
Congresswoman, yesterday Speaker Pelosi said the 6 committees will continue under the umbrella of an impeachment inquiry. That sounds like a lot to try to herd into one thing. You could make the case if you have 6 committees looking into impeachment, you don't even have one, right? It could go in all different directions. Should there be one committee that he said, should all this funnel into one committee very quickly?
I have great confidence in our 6 chairmen that they can manage this effectively. I think we're going to see a concentration in the Intelligence Committee because they are the ones who are able to read this complaint, know what documents we need to see, know what information needs to get out to the American public. But this is a process that we can manage. And at the same time, we're going to continue with our agenda of working for the American people. And let me tell you why I think this is so different from what we've seen before and why I don't. When I traveled the country during the midterms, whether I was in a red state or a blue state, I found that people responded to corruption. They want to know we're going to be putting the issues of healthcare, of infrastructure, of fighting gun violence on the table here in Congress. And they understand that this, when you're talking to a foreign government, asking them to do a favor to investigate a private American citizen, that is corruption. And that is using not only the Oval Office, but also involving the Department of Justice in it.
Reportedly, the president talked to the speaker yesterday morning about some other legislation, as well as this a little bit. While you're doing this impeachment inquiry, do you think it's realistic that you guys are going to be able to deal with lowering prescription drug prices, for instance?
We are going to keep reaching out to this president and to the do-nothing Senate and saying, let's get going with the American people's agenda. We have passed 250 pieces of legislation. Some of them are major, about 50 of them. And what is happening is they are languishing. We are waiting for the president to stand up and say enough with the gun violence in these streets. We had a rally here today, and constituents were in Mitch McConnell's office begging him, for the sake of the children that they've lost to gun violence, to hold a vote. It is long past time that we stop the silence and put these families and the security of our communities first. It is not our fault that the president has pushed us through his malfeasance here, his abuse of power to this place where we are.
Congresswoman, very quickly, should recess be canceled for the next 2 weeks? Should you guys stay in session to deal with this urgent matter?
I can tell you what's going to happen is that the work of this investigation will continue, whether we are officially here or not, whether the camera
recess
lights
won't be
are
canceled.
on or not.
All right. So it sounds like recess is not being canceled, is what you're saying.
I have not heard that it is canceled.
Gotcha. Katherine Clark, Democrat, much appreciated for you coming on and sharing your views.
Thank you, Chuck.
Hello, YouTubers. If you're watching this, it means you've checked out our channel, so thank you. Now do me a favor, subscribe by clicking on that button down there. Click on any of the videos to watch the latest interviews and highlights from MTP Daily and MSNBC. You can get more Meet the Press content every morning in the First Read newsletter. If you're tired of content that you don't know anything about where it came from, you don't have to have that problem with us. NBC News, MSNBC, MTP, and the Meet the Press mindset right here for you on YouTube. Subscribe now.